Welcome to the Fantasy Football Hot Stove with your hosts, Scott Simpson and Jamie Calandro, with special guest Lindsey Ok. Welcome to the Fantasy Football Hot Stove, everybody. I am Scott Simpson. So excited to be with you on a Tuesday night. Normally we're on Thursday. We had to make a move. Jamie's going to the Expo this year. I'm heading out to California to see Bo. So we're on Tuesday. Thank you for joining us. My lovely co-host, Mr. Jamie Calandro. Welcome, sir. How are you doing?
Doing great. I'm excited to be coming at you at a different time this week, as we both got the big events coming up this week. My nightmares have been haunted by the Brady Tony Dungy picture for the last 48 hours, but we've got football coming, and I'm excited for our guest today.
Oh, man, I'm super excited for our guest today. We have one of the best in the business, folks. And as I go through, I'm going to try to share my screen here. There's a litany of superlatives that we're going to throw on Lindsey Ok. She is all over the place. I had to read through your website, and all the different places that you've been seen or heard are ridiculous. But we'll start here with Twitter. You can follow her on Twitter at Lindsey Ok. She is one of my favorite follows on Twitter. She got Joe Flacco in the background. We'll talk about that as well.
Lindsey, it's the Brady picture.
Okay, I'm not gonna. I'm talking about this one right here. Is this scaring you?
Oh my God, it's like Children of the Corn.
I love it, Lindsey. This is hilarious. This is perfect. So if you go to Lindsey's Twitter, you can find great pictures, great content, football content. But she's not just there. She's also at Lindsey OK or Lindsey OK with a Y before the OK .com. So make sure you go check out all her work there. We'll talk about some of that work a little bit later. You can go check her on Instagram. She's on Instagram, got an amazing Instagram profile going on as well. And then Patrons. She got the Patrons. And what I love about her Patreon page is she got Tip Jar, which is cool, but then buy me a beer and then buy me 2 beers. That's creative. As a home brewer, I was like, I got to show this to the fans. So Lindsey, welcome. We're so excited to have you on today.
Thank you for having me. It's really exciting. I know we worked a little bit to try to get me on, and things were kind of crazy for a little bit, but I'm happy to be here.
I'm excited to hear. How's your dog? How's Howie doing? I had to check right away, make sure he's okay. It's really important.
He's good. He's right here. He's sleeping. You can't really see him, but but yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Some days are better than others, but
and he's 14 years old, right? So yeah. He's crushing it. He's been around a long time.
Yep, he'll be 15 in January, so hope we make it that far. Not to sound morbid or anything, but he's had a rough couple months. But we just got his blood work back. I guess it was last week, and the doctor said that it looked better. So
good.
That's enough for me. So
that's good.
Yeah.
Well, as a new puppy owner, I just got a puppy. My daughter did. She has a lump I found on her shoulder today, and then which I was freaking out about and worried all day. And then later when she's going to the bathroom, a shirt was coming out, and I was just like, oh my gosh! I was like, dogs are breaking my heart. She's okay, she's fine, but man, dogs, it's like having another child. I have 2 already, and I care more about the dog than I do on my own kids sometimes. So I hope your dog is doing well. Please go follow Lindsey across all the social media platforms that you can. She's all over the place, and we'll get back into some of her Instagram a little bit later during our next segment, which we've called the hot seat. It's the Hotbox Hot Seat. It's brought to you by Hotbox Batch. Lindsey, I don't know if you like hot foods, but you're going to get a bottle of this complimentary of the show. This gets sent to you by my friend and the inventor of this, Bo McBrayer. He is Bo_McBigTime on Twitter. He invented this for a league that we were in, and then it turned into a cash opportunity just to, take all the money of the fantasy community. So this is going well, and you're going to get a free bottle. It's about 300,000 Scovilles. So Jamie and I can tell you it's a little hot. You don't want to overwhelm your food with it. But we're going to jump in, and we're going to ask some questions, and they're kind of going to get hotter in intensity as we go. And so I'll start, and then Jamie will jump in. Are you ready to go?
Yes, let's do it.
All right, here we go. All right, so speaking of beers, I noticed on your Instagram account that you had a picture of you drinking a beer just recently. And so what I wanted to know is when you go to kick back and have a beer, what is your go-to beer? What are you drinking? What do you like on a normal day when you're at the pub or at the bar?
Okay, so normally when I go out, which is very rare these days, honestly. I usually just go for a your classic like Coors Light or whatever. But I was out like I live in Annapolis, so they always have like the rotating like seasonal beers at a lot of the places. So I can't tell you the name of the beer that I had when I went out last weekend, but I always like to change it up and just see what I like. What looks good. I've been really into pineapple beers lately, though.
Ooh,
interesting.
Oh God, I think it's Heavy Seas. God, I hate if I get this wrong, but it's like it's a Heavy Seas beer, and they have a pineapple one. They have a mango lime one, and then they have like a citrus one. But the pineapple one is so good. I can't get enough of it. It's so good. And I've just been like trying all like the pineapple-y ones. They're very summery, and that's just been kind of, yeah.
I've never heard of that. Is that a local Maryland one that you two get?
Yeah.
Heavy Seas does not come up this way.
I know it's not Dogfish. I'm trying to think of like all the Maryland ones. It's not Dogfish. I'm pretty sure it's Heavy Seas.
Yeah. They're in Baltimore. They're right, real close around the corner.
Okay.
Yeah. No, that's excellent. You made a great choice there with pineapple. I love all of the beers during the summer that are lighter, that are saisons or halves or like pills, which the Coors Light. They go down great, and they don't make you feel sluggish and tired. I can't drink huge beers in the summer ever. So great choice. And it made me want to have a beer tonight, but I said, what, I got to be a professional, Lindsey. I can't like flub my words when we're doing the interview. So, okay. All right. First question cleared. You made it. Jamie, you're up next, brother.
Okay. So we're moving on a little bit. We noticed we had your Twitter profile up there, and, smack dab up there, if you can tear your eyes off of the shining Brady, is Joe Flacco there. And so there's a great picture of you wearing a t-shirt with a picture of Joe Flacco that says Elite on it. So, can you give us a little on that? When did you first realize that Joe's your quarterback, and why do you slap the Elite tag on him? Oh, there we go.
So Joe was like one of the first players that I just like really got behind and really rooted for like every week. And, I mean, you're from Maryland, like, he still doesn't really get a lot of the love that he should. I mean, a lot of people don't understand how hard it is to have a career like he had for as long as he had. And he still, like, to this day, still gets a lot of hate, even amongst Ravens fans. And I don't know. I always like to root for the underdog, I guess. But he's just been kind of, he's such a chill dude. He's not one of those guys that is screaming at you on the sidelines like Brady is, or you know what I mean? He's just like such a chill dude, and he got the rep that he didn't care, or that he was too laid back and just like wasn't vocal enough, but he led in other ways, and I like that.
No,
awesome.
That's a great answer, by the way.
Yeah.
I have a question. Is he the first picture on your Instagram account? I did do some scrolling yesterday for the show. Is there a picture of like a signed autograph of Joe Flacco as like the first picture that you have? Maybe it might be. I don't want to like, I'm not going to deep dive right now, but I was scrolling through looking for pictures to put up here, and I didn't want to use that one, but it looked like you have an autograph of him from like way back in the day. So this was like a long time.
That was probably like maybe his first year in the NFL.
Okay, this makes a lot of sense. I like this. And what's cool about this is when you like a player, that's what it's really about. Teams are good. But loving players, the people that are on the team, way a better upgrade than just loving, the football team or the Giants or whatever. It's the people who make them. So living here in Maryland, you're right. Joe Flacco caught just no one ever said he was elite. They would make fun of him and give him a hard time. So I love how you're pushing back against the narrative and saying, no, examine it a little bit. And also like how you catch heat on there and you give it right back to people. If you don't know, don't fuck with Lindsey on Twitter. Yeah, ever. Any platforms. But with Joe Flacco, she's ready to go, and I love it. And it's so much fun. So if you haven't followed her already, come on, get on there. And Instagram too. You get great pictures like this. I love this picture too, because it's just like, I don't give an F what you think. That's what I think. So that's where you communicate with me, and that's like the F you to the community. That's kind of like my my love language. I like being able to say that this is what I believe in, and I'm strong in it, and you're super strong in it. So way to rep it.
Now, is that custom made or like?
So this is the Denver Broncos version.
Okay.
Do you guys know PFT from Barstool?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, so he was behind this. So there's like a Ravens version where it's like Ravens colors, and he sent me that one. And then this is the Broncos version when he got traded to the Broncos, and he sent me this one too.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
It's like a movie. It looks like 300 or something.
I know.
I was like, I asked her beforehand, like, which picture do you want to use for the promo? She's like, use whatever. I was like, this is the picture. I love this picture. So I had to give it some screen time. So, okay. All right. Next question that we have on the hot seat is you've been seen and heard. And I love this on your website. If you go to Lindsey Ok on the website here about. We have seen or heard, and then the list is just, it's super impressive. It's ridiculously impressive. We're talking, the Baltimore Sun, the Ravens, Barstool Sports, Bro Bible, Deadspin, Fanside, Fox Sports. If you've heard about them, they're on here. And so I think my question for you kind of is, what out of all these what was something that, you're the most proud of as a content creator? You create tons of content. It's featured in lots of places, but I'm sure there's something that you're like, I love this. Like this mattered a lot to me, or it was a stepping stone, or it was something that was really impactful. So out of all those, what are you kind of the most proud of?
This is a really hard question. You sent me like the questions beforehand, and this was one that was like, God, I don't know what I'm going to say. A lot of what I do like by myself is what I'm most proud of, I feel like. But one of the things that I was really proud of on here was when I was in the Baltimore Sun, and it was around like the Ray Rice saga. I'm not going to get into it, but you guys all know what happened there. And I was quoted as saying, like, I'm going to butcher this, I feel like. I was quoted as saying I would rather lose without him than win with him, if that makes sense. And I got so much heat for that. But, I mean, that was just like a very strong statement, I feel like, for me, because I just don't tolerate that. So, yeah.
No, I love that. And
Nor should you.
No. Right. It's tricky though, being a woman in a game that is all men, and them looking at people differently. If a man says that, they're going to go, oh, okay, well, maybe I'll listen to it. So I love that you did that. If for people who don't know, I'm a girl dad. I've got two girls, 10 and 8. And, honestly, Lindsey, one day I'd love for one of my girls to go and like do a week-long internship with you somewhere, or, just learn how to be a badass woman, because that's what the world needs. So this is great. I love that was your answer. And you've always kind of just had that edge about you that is, you believe in what you believe and you're strong about it. And it's awesome. So very cool. All right, Jamie, you're up, brother.
So back to your Twitter bio. This one stands out to me. So it says you're a retired ballerina. Do you want to give us a little background on that? Or what was the most challenging part of being a ballerina? And what would you say was the most fun? And how long did you actually do that for too? When did you, if you say you're retired, I'm assuming you've stopped. When did you stop?
So I did it from when I was about 2 years old until my mom was my teacher. Like my mom was a dance teacher before I was even born. And probably until halfway through college, I guess. So I haven't done it for a while, but the most challenging part, I guess, was probably just like the toll it takes on your body. Like even now, like my knees are not right. Like I can't,
really?
I can't run. I can run on a treadmill, but I can't run outside because of the asphalt. Like the shock of it is just like not great on my knees. So yeah, just things like that. I mean, it's not really looked at as like a sport or anything that requires, it's not like football or soccer or anything like that, but it really does like take a toll on your body, especially your legs, especially your knees, especially your ankles. I mean, I've had injuries upon injuries upon injuries. And there's a reason why a lot of girls stop around the time that I stopped. It's like really admirable if you're like Misty Copeland, who can still do it at this point in her life. Like it's most people, by the time you're out of high school, you're done. So
would you say, I mean, did you stop kind of because of that impact it was having on your body? If it was a little bit less strenuous, would you say you would still be kind of doing it in some capacity?
I've tried to do it just because, I've tried to take like a dance class here and there, but I'll do other things. Like I'll do yoga, which is kind of similar. Bar is kind of similar, but that's kind of all that's pretty much the length I'll go. I can't really do like the on the toes anymore. I can't do that. Like we'll not even try that anymore.
That is baffling to me that anybody can do that.
Yeah,
it's way harder than it looks.
Well, I was gonna think about like just the amount of strength you have to have in your toes to be able to. My toes would just collapse the first time I tried to go on any of them. They'd be like, "You're too fat, no way, bro," and just fall over. So I
hurt my neck sneezing this morning.
Well, that and like you will never see me in like flip flops, just because. I mean, I'm not gonna say I have like bad feet because, I mean, people are gonna like rag on me for this, I'm sure, but it's just like something about like, I don't know, just like as you do ballet, like your feet are just like your instrument, I guess, and like you don't like I don't know. I will not wear flip flops or anything like that. So.
Well, that my wife won't let me wear flip flops. I keep trying to wear them. I told her I was going to wear them to school when it starts, and I'm not wearing shoes anymore because I'm kind of like rebelling against having to go back to school. And she said, your toes are not you're not allowed to wear flip flops to school. And so, it's okay. Don't worry. You're in the club with me. Our feet are fine, by the way. Our feet are beautiful. We'll talk about it later, Lindsay. We got beautiful feet. People don't judge us. Okay. Last,
are going to come out, aren't they?
Right. And listen, no hating. By the way, this is one thing this is important. And lots of this is important, but the amount of hate that is shared on Twitter on different media platforms is ridiculous. And I've seen Lindsay get a lot of it. I've gotten some of it. I'm sure Jamie's gotten some of it too. Keep it positive on Twitter and in all social media. Please keep it encouraging. If you have a problem with somebody, talk to them privately. We don't need something to happen to you. And if you do make bad choices, things are going to happen to you too. So all right, now we're going to jump to the last part of this Hotbox Hot Seat, and that is 2 truths and a lie. So you're working with 2 teachers here, and teachers always kind of play this game at pre-service, at back to school, where like get to know you games where you lie about one thing and you tell 2 truths. So we're going to let you tell 2 truths and a lie. We're not going to know which is which, and then we're going to kind of guess, talk to each other about what we think. Don't reveal anything until Jamie and I have both shared. Last week when I guessed wrong, Paul Churchin let me know I was wrong immediately.
He jumped all over you.
He was like, "You're wrong," which is great. I loved it. But
in fairness, I was going to be wrong too.
I know we were both.
So it spared me a little bit.
I'm just glad that I was wrong first. So, but yeah. So 2 truths and a lie. Let's hear what you got.
Okay. My first concert was Hanson.
Okay. First, that sounds right. Okay.
My biggest fear is being caught in a tsunami.
I just got my heart palpitations. That could be true. That could be true. Okay. Tsunami. And the last one.
And I took 3 years of Spanish in high school.
Okay. Pasa. All right. Jamie, I'm going to give you the first dibs. What do you think is the lie here?
I mean,
these aren't very interesting. I'm sorry.
Everything about Hanson is interesting, Lindsay. Embrace the Hanson. I'm hoping it's true also.
Jamie's a music teacher, by the way. He loves it.
Hanson doesn't come up much. So I'm gonna go with the last one. I'm gonna say that you took a different language because even though it's an unrealistic thing here on the eastern seaboard of the United States, tsunamis would freak me the hell out too. The thought of them is terrifying. Hanson is awesome. You're about the right age, I think. So I'm gonna go with the Spanish and say you took French or something like that.
Okay, that's good. My daughters do take French, by the way, Jamie, and I don't speak it. So yeah. If they
like, no, never mind. No, I'm thinking of somebody else. Go ahead, continue.
I'm gonna go. The tsunami fear is very real, but I'm gonna go that it is the tsunami because there's lots of other fears that you could have as well. I mean, it's one fear, of course, but I'm afraid of like a million things. So, and Spanish, it's something that growing up, that it was. I took 3 years of Spanish, and so I think it's a common kind of experience. All right, Lindsay, lay it on us. Where's the lie at?
Okay, so my biggest fear is not tsunamis, it's birds.
Yes. And you come up with you like went to Ravens practices and you're like birds.
Yep.
Wait, but so like a la the birds that they're going to be, just
So,
crows are going to swarm. Like if a robin comes hopping along the driveway, you're like, oh, I'll wait till that's out of the way before I get in my car. Like,
so I
what
feel like
extent
a
is
lot of
this?
it stems from my mom letting me watch the birds when I was like 8 years old.
Yeah. Yep.
But also just like, I mean, really big birds like really freak me out. I don't like the fact that they like swarm overhead and then dive down. I don't like it. I don't trust them. If like a little bird comes hopping by, like, I'm like, stay away, but I don't really get afraid. But the big ones are where I kind of don't like it.
Gotcha.
I wonder if they sense your fear like other animals do, and they're like, "Let me bother that person right there." I think that's probably, yeah. I feel that way about slugs. I'm always, trying to take the dog out or something. There's like a slug on something you're picking up or something. So I knew I nailed it. So Jamie, I've got one in the win column here as we.
Yeah, and Lindsey is not alone apparently. If you look at our comment section right now too, so you're not. This is not a total hot take. Herms is terrified of birds.
Yeah, Herms is a Maryland guy too. So we got 3 Maryland people, kind of all not. Lindsey, I will say this: the type of birds I do like are bald eagles, and near my house here in Damascus, in kind of the edge of Gaithersburg, there's a pair of nesting eagles, and I have illegally trespassed a few times on the farmer's field to take long-range pictures of these eagles. I love them, but those are the only kind of birds, eagles and hawks. And they stay away from humans. They're afraid of us because they're birds of prey, and most of us are bigger than them. So
I still don't trust them.
I won't my Instagram pictures of them. Very cool. All right, you survived the hot seat. I appreciate all those great answers. That was great. Great to get to know you. We're going to transition now from kind of Lindsey the person to kind of Lindsey the football story. And so I'll let Jamie kick it off with our second plug of the day.
All right. So Lindsey's stories, of course, is brought to you by fanteamadvice.com. Come on over and check out our optimizers and our draft guide, which is fully operational right now, being updated as NFL news drops. So, Lindsey, we'll get a little background on you before we get into some meaty questions for the 2021 season. Can you maybe give us, what are your earliest memories watching football growing up? This is a question I always like to ask our guests.
So my dad's a Cowboys fan. And I just remember being like a very small child, very small. And like I remember the names like Troy Aikman, Emmitt Smith, but that's really all I remember. I wasn't like I wasn't into it at all. But it's still cool to see, I guess, from that perspective of being a little kid and then growing into not only me being like a fan of another team, but like, seeing. Obviously, the Cowboys suck now, but
Bo's frantically typing right now.
Bo's very upset, by the way. The author and creator of the Hotbox.
Yeah, that's pretty much my earliest memory. I mean, I didn't know any of the rules back then or anything like that. So, but I still those two names were the ones that always stuck out to me.
Oh, very cool, excellent.
Yep.
Okay, now that's where you kind of started. How did you kind of transition from just like being a fan, watching football, to getting into creating football content, and then kind of follow up from that? When did you realize this is more than just something I like to do, or it's a hobby, but this is something that's going to kind of be me? I'm going to create content for football as my persona. How did that kind of evolve into being?
So I got my start. I was an intern. I interned for Ed Reed, which was
really
the coolest thing I've ever done. I mean, just seeing that part of football with a guy that's like so great. And that just kind of fell into my lap. Like I was friends with his financial advisor and he needed an intern for the summer and he hired me on the spot. And I was like, okay, let's do it. I had no idea what I was getting myself into. But it was, I worked with his foundation. I did a bunch of his football camps and got to see like that side of football, which is not something that I had ever seen before. And then I just kind of transitioned into networking with a lot of people through that, through that internship, I met obviously a lot of players, coaches, people that worked for the team, community people, marketing people, media people. And then I just kind of started to get into the media side of it, started doing obviously social media on my own, and just kind of grew from there. And it just honestly, it really kind of fell into my lap. And I was a teacher. I taught kindergarten, and I was doing both and it was hard as hell to do both. I was teaching all day, getting up at 6 o'clock in the morning to be there by 7:30, and teaching kids all day, which is stressful in itself, and then doing football at night, and waking up and doing it all over again. So I eventually just decided to go out on my own, and I didn't want anyone else's name on my content, really. So that's kind of when I decided to go out on my own, and it's been going really well.
Well, I got to tell you, first of all, kudos. I did not know that you were a kindergarten teacher. I already loved you, but now you're just like the top, like my favorite, because if you've been a teacher, you understand what we all understand. You had a shared common experience of how much effort you put in to care for and love other people. And it's, of course, you're a teacher. Yeah, I mean, like, that makes so much sense. And very cool in kind of how you transition. I'm trying to do what you did now. So it's a little bit different. I'm 20 years into teaching, and my wife wants the pension. And I'm trying to, as much as I can, jump into football. So really cool to see your story and to see that success. And also, one thing you said about having your name on it, that's one thing I really liked about looking at your content, is that it's associated with you. It's about you, and not that I work with other people and things like that, and so did you. But you're building the brand for yourself, and I really love that, because in the end, you answer to yourself. You care about it. It's about your effort and what you put in. And so that's just, this is like, I'm going to follow in your footsteps. I'm probably a lot older than you, but I'm going to try to follow in those footsteps and learn from you for sure in this. So thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, we know that balance too, that, struggling to balance the two things when when you got your heart into both things, and there's just so much hours in the day. So yeah, we really kudos to you for doing that. Seriously.
Yeah, it did not happen overnight. Trust me.
No.
It was definitely a struggle for a long time, but
I can imagine. So what advice would you give people, and maybe, especially young women, being a female in football right now, what advice would you give people who are maybe just starting to pursue their dream of making football content a career?
My number one, well, I have two number ones. Like a 1A and a 1B. So my first would be to be yourself. Don't do what anybody else is doing, because there are so many people who can just, for example, tweet like, Rashad Bateman was hurt at practice today. So many people are going to tweet that. You need to take that and make that your own. Make it funny. Make it, something, just whatever. You need to be able to stand out, but be yourself at the same time. Second thing is to be nice to people. This business is based on connections, who what you can build from, and like, people talk, everybody's watching. If you're going to be an asshole to somebody on Twitter, everybody's watching that. Everybody sees that. And I mean, I've been guilty of doing that. I mean, every once in a while, somebody really pisses me off, to be honest with you. And but I'm never going to tell somebody from like Yahoo Sports that they don't deserve to have a job anymore because they have this opinion about one of my favorite players. Like, I'm never going to say something like that, because guess what? If I say something like that, all of Yahoo knows who I am in a negative way. Does that make sense?
Yep. Yeah. Burn bridges without even knowing it sometimes with that.
Yeah, I see a lot of people doing that, and they think it's funny and edgy or whatever. It's not. I mean, like, you're not going to grow in a positive way if you sit here and bash people in the industry that you want to grow in.
Word. That is so true. And we see it with successful people. No one, this was sad though. You see a few successful people who get there for being ruthless and a few of those in the world, the type A, like going to crush everyone to be successful. But you see more people nowadays, which I love, who have been what you said, kind and respectful, and have built relationships and have really put in that extra work. And you don't see that on Twitter as much, or you don't see it, happening behind the scenes. But those are the people who are successful. So that's just, it's awesome advice. I love it. Okay, last question in this segment. In case there's any follow-ups, we can jump in there. But I want to know, you've given some advice. What are you working on this year? What's kind of coming down the pipe for you with content? I know you're working on training camp stuff. We'll talk a little bit about that in the next section. But kind of where's Lindsey going to go this year, and what can we expect to see on your Twitter timeline?
So I've been to a couple training camps. I have this thing now where I'm not telling people where I am because people are creepy, and I have an issue that I just can't let I can't let people know my location. I'm not getting into it, but so I've been doing that. And then I have something coming up. I'm going to be focusing a lot on quarterbacks this season. So I'm going to be doing a daily blog every day, which basically just highlights all of quarterback news, my opinions on it, et cetera, et cetera. And yeah, I'm still not sure about actually going to games. I'm not really sure what's going to happen with that, with the Delta variant and all that stuff. So I'm trying not to make too many plans on that, but I have a couple games circled, of course, and a couple games I've been invited to and everything like that, but I'm kind of holding off just to kind of see what happens.
No, that's excellent. Well, when that does come out, I'm going to make sure I do follow you. I'm sure Jamie follows you as well. And all of our guests, if you're not following Lindsey, please, like right now, go and follow her on Twitter, on Instagram, and sign up for Patreon. So any other follow-up questions you had, Jamie, about this section? Anything you want to jump into or anything else?
Yeah, Lindsey, how many, you seem like you kind of travel a little bit with the camps. Without giving away locations and everything, how many actual football stadiums have you been to, or how many camps have you been to, would you say?
4 camps so far, and probably about 6 stadiums.
Nice.
Overall.
Nice. Awesome. I went on, before I settled down, I was touring baseball stadiums, but never really got to it with football. I've only been to Giant Stadium as far as football goes, and now that my kids are getting a little bit older and into football, I want to kind of start getting into that again. So that's really cool.
Yeah, excellent. Okay, so next, we're going to jump into more NFL content that Jamie was saying, kind of nailed down some predictions for this year. So the next segment is just 2021 NFL season. It's brought to you by runthesims.com. Runthesims.com is everything that you need to win your fantasy football league. It's got projections. It's got percentile rankings. It's got a projections builder that you can build your own projections, which I was doing today. They also have DFS and optimizer. If you don't know what Run the Sims stand for, it means that you can run simulations. So you can run 10,000 game simulations in 30 seconds. DFS, treasure trove of tools, and then it's got a bunch of wagering tools as well. The site is designed to make you money, so please go to check out runthesims.com, and runthesims.com/nimble gets me a little bit more money to help my girls. Lindsey, I don't know about you and what you asked your dad for growing up. My daughter asked me if a couple of last years, she said, hey, can you buy a bigger house, because I need to buy a car that I can drive and park in the shed. And this was after I told her I had the lawnmower in the shed and I couldn't get rid of the lawnmower. I had to keep it there. She said, okay, we need a bigger house, bigger shed, and I want a she shed, she said. So I can't help it. I love my ladies have high tastes and high class, and they want more. And so please go sign up for Run the Sims so that I can give that money to them. Like literally, I'll just give it right to them. Okay. All right. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to jump into bold predictions, super bold predictions. We're going to be talking about the busts and the players who are going to break out. And so we're going to start with you, Lindsey. And Jamie, I'm sorry, I jumped the questions here on the show sheet.
You're good. You're good.
I do that. I get excited. Yeah. So, Lindsey, what is a bold prediction? You can pick any position. You don't need to go down each position. You pick one player that you think is going to kind of break out this year, who's undervalued, and then a player who's kind of be a bust, like an AJ Green from last year.
Okay, so my breakout player is going to be Brandon Ayuk. Oh my God. I think this year we're going to be talking about him the same way we talk about Julio Jones, the same way we talk about Devontae Adams. Like, I feel like this year, I mean, he impressed me last year, but I feel like this year it's going to be another level. So he's my breakout player.
And his ADP is like wide receiver 25 right now. And so if you can get him as your wide receiver 3, then he can be a wide receiver 1 possibly this year. I love that. All right, what about a bust? Somebody who you're just like, nah, I'm not touching them at all.
I'm going to say Zach Wilson, which I feel bad for him. I feel like, I don't know if it's because I actually feel bad for him or because I feel like he's like an 11-year-old and I feel like, okay, I'm sorry. But I haven't been hearing as much great stuff about him as I want to hear. And I know it's only training camp and I know he's, came in late and all that, but I feel like he's going to have kind of a harder transition to the NFL than people thought.
Yeah. And the reports are not terrible, but all the reports that are good are focusing on Elijah Moore and not Zach Wilson. But if you follow his mom on Instagram, everything's great. And there's like spin classes and stuff. So, you could, if you want the drama, you can check out his mom's Instagram. She let me follow for some reason. She didn't know that I was content mining, but whatever. That's okay. I'm okay with it. So, okay. Jamie, I'll go next and ask you.
All right.
Yeah. What do you think? Who is a bust for you? Who's a breakout?
Okay, so I mean, if you've followed me on Twitter at all for the last month, you know that Mixon's my guy, but I don't think it's bold enough for this section here. So I'm going to say Rondale Moore. I don't think he's getting the love that he deserves compared to some of his fellow rookie receivers. He's basically free in redraft. Love him in Dynasty, but I'm targeting him late rounds in redraft as well. At first glance, to me, his way is seemingly blocked from the start by AJ Green and Christian Kirk. Hopkins is, of course, the wide receiver 1. But I do feel as though Moore could ascend to that wide receiver 2 spot on this team in pretty short order and really wreak havoc out of the slot. I mean, Green looked absolutely done. 1.02 yards per route run, which is, you almost have to try to be that bad. It's not like he wasn't already in a fantasy-friendly environment in Cincinnati. And Kirk showed some burst of promise last year, but he really struggled in that vertical role. So, I mean, Arizona led the league in 3 wide receiver sets last year. I could conceivably see them leading in 10 personnel sets with 4 wide receivers. Moore's a dynamic talent. And like I said, he's free. So, I mean, he's definitely a guy that will be on more of my teams than not because I'll reach a couple of rounds for it.
I like the pun there. That was definitely a teacher inspired. What about a bust? Somebody who your hands are clean this year. You go, I got no shares.
We're apparently attacking the Jets on this show. And I'll go with another rookie. I'm staying away from Michael Carter. I think his ADP is way too high. The fact that he's running with the first team is not helping me fight off all the takes that I'm wrong on this, and he brings a lot of fun metrics to the table. I mean, 8 yards per carry in his senior year, agility score in the 98th percentile, but his 40 is very unappealing. His speed and burst scores are well below the national average. It's possible I'm too low on his receiving ability, but I mean, from a narrative standpoint, I'm clinging to the fact that there's a reason that he fell to day 3. I mean, a lot of RB needy teams, the Jets included, passed on him in the 3 rounds prior. And it's really rare that a day 3 pick makes such an immediate impact on an NFL field. So Carter is not in my plans, and I'm taking Tevin Coleman and Ty Johnson later on if I'm taking a Jet running back rather than Carter.
Well, all the negative stuff going on with the Jets. I do want to say that Joe Flacco was a Jet before, so be careful. We got to be careful. We got to tread lightly on this. I'm going to go positive with the Jets and go the other way for my.
I know. I was going to say, we know you're not busting Elijah Moore, so
I'm going to go Elijah Moore. And the reason I'm going to go Elijah Moore is in the industry, he has become a darling, and everyone's kind of drafting him, or 7th round, 8th round. But he's still wide receiver 66 on 4 for 4. And so that means like the general public hasn't caught up yet. So if you're in your home league, you have a great opportunity to snag him in the 11th or 12th round as your wide receiver 5 or 6. I feel like just the upside, it's not going to be every single week, but when he gets touches, he's going to maximize those touches. And out of the slot, if he gets to run out of the slot, he's going to be matched up against corners that you want to see him torching. And then if he's on the X or if he's on the Y, he can get vertical. He can get downfield. It does matter how the ball gets delivered. So that's going to be an issue with consistency. That's my biggest knock on him is what, Lindsey saying that Zach Wilson is going to bust. I kind of agree with that. So that's the only thing holding him back from being like a wide receiver 2 this year, because dude's going to break out. So I love him. And then bust wise, oh man, there's just so many people, and you're going to hate me for this, Jamie. I'm going to say DeAndre Hopkins. I'm going to say,
okay.
That's easy. I cheap shot at Daniel Jones. He's going to, definitely. But I'm going to say DeAndre Hopkins because of his high ADP. And I love all his targets, but you have to think that a few of those targets are going to go to Rondale Moore and a few are going to go to AJ Green. I know that he's a better receiver than all of them. So let's say he loses 10 targets or 5 targets, maybe not. But then the second thing is Cliff Kingsbury does not know how to use him and how to run him. And all his routes are on the left side of the field, and they don't even cross to the right side of the field. He is on there doing little, comebacks and little out routes. And I don't like that as a route tree. I want his route tree expanded. So if you tell me he's getting a better route tree this year, then I'll buy him at wide receiver 3 or 4. But if he's not, I'm going to take another wide receiver like A.J. Brown, who has a better route tree and who runs from different places on the field. He runs out of the slot. He runs out of the X. He runs out of the Y. And not that DeAndre Hopkins isn't better. He is. He's better than all of them. He never drops the ball. I just want to have more variety from Cliff Kingsbury to make it, So that's my bold prediction. And roast me. It's fine if I'm wrong. Jimmy, what do you think?
Lindsey's ready to.
Oh, no.
I have a question I want to ask you guys.
Yeah.
If you had to pick like Julio Jones this year with the Tennessee Titans, would you say he's going to do well or not do so well?
I'll take it first. I've been on the anti-Julio train this year. Well, it's just because, I feel like people jumped all over the fact that he wanted to be traded and that he's alongside AJ Brown. But, fact of the matter is he's moving to a run-heavy offense right now. We saw that he didn't mind competing with another wide receiver 1 in Atlanta, but he's going from a team that was top 5 in passing plays per game to a team that's bottom 5 in passing plays per game. And as long as the wheels aren't falling off for Derrick Henry, I do think he's disappointing at his ADP. I don't know about you two.
I'm going to say that I think he's going to have games where he is the wide receiver 1 on that team. But there's going to be a big gap between him and AJ Brown, a bigger gap than the ADP, the second round and the 4th round. I'm okay taking Julio in the 5th round if he drops to the 5th round, which I haven't seen him really drop.
He's not, yeah.
But in the 4th round, there's other wide receivers in more pass-happy offenses like Mike Evans. Mike Evans' touchdown upside is greater than Julio Jones's. And so, I feel more consistent. Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, one of those guys from that offense, it's going to throw the ball more. So,
Lindsey, where are you on that? And I do have a follow-up for you as well, if you don't mind.
I don't know. I think when it comes down to it, like the Titans are such a good team still, that, when it comes down to like the defenses they play, when they have to defend, like most of the time, like they're focusing on defending Derrick Henry. And now that they have to defend like Derrick Henry, AJ Brown, and Julio Jones, I feel like that's going to kind of be like a shock to a bunch of the AFC teams and a bunch of their competition teams. So I don't know. And the health thing kind of,
Well, his feet, he's got, he runs with like thunder, like in his feet. You know what I mean? Like the guy just pounds the turf and he always has had little foot issues. So that's the only knock. If he plays all 17 games, I do think he does fulfill his ADP, but that's kind of baked in there, him missing a few games with his foot injury.
Yeah. And that's been one of the, that argument is the one that I'm pondering over, when I say that I'm down on Julio Jones, and I'm actually more down on AJ Brown than I was early before they got him too. But that is the one argument, having him just opens up that box so much, and it's an offense that you really don't know how to defend right now. So that is a good point. Lindsey, I do have a follow-up for your Zach Wilson take. So this is one I've been struggling myself. So who do you find is a better value? Would you rather have Justin Fields or Trey Lance at their current ADP, but not guaranteed the week 1 starting position and not knowing when it was? Or would you rather wait until Zach Wilson, who is, currently being drafted outside the top 24, even though you don't like Zach Wilson as a fantasy player, do you still maybe see that you're getting value for him as the starter, or would you still rather have Fields and Lance where they're going, which is about, several rounds earlier?
I mean, I'm going Fields all day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Lance too?
Not so much.
Okay.
Yeah, I saw a throw the other day that Fields did on the run outside of the pocket into the back of the end zone, and I just thought, what are we missing? Why are we not, pounding? It's Andy Dalton. Come on, guys.
I do think it's a formality at this point, and it won't be long.
No, not at all. Okay, so next question. Your drop back features is on your website. Let me pull that up right now. And this is where you have gone to camps and you've written some notes, or you've been observing camps. So question for you about that as I try to pull this up. What are some of the stories, the battles in camp, the things that are happening that are intriguing to you, either if you've seen them live or if you've kind of been reporting on them and kind of watching them, via Twitter or, other social media?
Again, Justin Fields. That is my biggest, quarterback battle that I'm watching right now. Again, I feel like it's only a matter of time before he's named the starter. Or it could be a situation where they go into it saying Andy Dalton's our starter because, he's the veteran and we don't want to piss him off. And, the second he throws 2 interceptions week 1, he's pulled, and there's Justin Fields. So that's definitely the biggest one I'm watching. Another one is Jimmy Garoppolo and Trey Lance. Jimmy Garoppolo is miles above Trey Lance at this point. Trey Lance has a lot to learn. That's not saying he'll never be good someday. He definitely has the mentality and stuff to be a starting quarterback in this league, but I don't think it's going to happen this year. I just think he needs to, and that's not a bad thing. He just needs to kind of sit and learn behind a veteran. He's with Kyle Shanahan, who's fantastic. Jimmy Garoppolo is fantastic. He has the best deal, I feel, out of any, first round quarterback this year. So, and even if he doesn't start, it's not a failure on his part. I just feel like it's only going to help him get better.
Yeah, and Patrick Mahomes sat the whole first year, guys. So we don't have to rush in. And San Francisco was in a Super Bowl 2 years ago too. I know they suffered all those injuries last year, but we all have to kind of hurry up and wait. That's what we have to do, and we don't like that in America. We want everything now, today, microwave, whatever. But just wait a little bit. I think Lindsey's hitting the nail on the head. And Jimmy Garoppolo has some skill left. And so if he can kind of mentor Trey Lance and help get him where he needs to go, I think people should kind of calm down on the trade him, get him out of town. You need that mentorship. That's what young quarterbacks are going to need in life in general, is another older person to say, hey, I've made these mistakes before. Right. Let me tell you how not to make them so that you can be more professional. Honestly, no offense, it would have been nice if Lamar Jackson had Joe Flacco for a little bit longer and he was able to actually learn from him a little bit. It would have been maybe a little bit better.
Thank you for saying that. Oh my God, I've been saying that for 3 years.
I think what's so crazy though is how Baltimore kind of did just jettison Joe Flacco so quickly. It was like once it just turned real bad, and it didn't.
It was at the point where Joe Flacco got injured, and a lot of people forget that little detail when they say that Lamar Jackson took Joe Flacco's job. It was because Joe Flacco got injured, and by the time he was ready to come back, the Ravens were on a win streak, and it would have been stupid to put him back in there. So, it just unfortunately happened that way, but he still helped him out as far as being that veteran guy, that leader that he needed.
Yeah.
Yeah, and on the Justin Fields thing too, you're talking about throwing a couple of interceptions. If you look at to the week 1 schedule, their first game is at the Rams Sunday night. If that isn't setting up for poor Joe Flacco to get the crap beat out of him in that game, get sacked 4 times, throw 3 picks, have the Bears fans calling for his head immediately, and then insert Fields into their first home game in week 2 against the Bengals, who will offer no resistance to him. I'm making up narratives as I go here, but
you also said it was Joe Flacco. I think you meant Andy Dalton.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I say Justin? Flacco. Oh, yeah, I got you. Yeah, not Flacco. Andy Dalton.
The Red Rifle, who can't throw an out route very. I mean, you saw last year with Michael Gallup, he couldn't get the ball to the edge. So I think that is a good narrative. What do you think, Lindsey? When do you think Justin Fields takes over, or do you think he starts as the starter right away?
I still really think it's going to be week one. I really feel like, I feel like he's had a better camp than Andy Dalton so far. I just, again, like you said, it's a formality. They have to say Andy Dalton's the veteran. He's our starter. We tweeted that picture of him saying he's our QB1. So we get to it. But I don't know. It's either it's gonna be, if it's not week one, it's gonna be really early on.
Yeah. And I agree with you. And I've been skeptical about some of these rookie quarterbacks, but the fact that Fields is showing special stuff right off the bat, I think has to be taken into account. And NFL coaches know. I mean, Russell Wilson just came in and beat Matt Flynn, who they signed to a way bigger deal than Andy Dalton. So, not to say these are human beings. I don't like to use the word expendable here when we're talking about it. But, in the business sense of football, Andy Dalton is a seat warmer for Justin Fields.
Even I don't know if you guys watched Justin Fields' press conference last week, but even the way Justin Fields carries himself as a rookie, talking to the media, which a lot of guys struggle with, a lot of veterans struggle with it still. He just carried himself so well and was able to answer things straightforward and was very honest about how he's learning things and how he talked about how he's trying to visualize the plays in his head when he sees them and then translating it to the field. And that's just something that you don't really hear from a rookie. So I don't know. I just was really impressed with him.
Yeah, well, maybe he's an old quarterback in a young rookie body, you know what I mean? But he's got that older mindset. He's able to carry himself. I love Justin Fields, and I was talking to Adam Rank yesterday on a podcast, and he's so excited. He said normally he puts his Bears hat away because they stink, and now he's not puts it away, but he's more focused on fantasy and things like that. He's like, I'm just all in for the Bears, and that's what I've gotten from a lot of Bears fans. It's just the excitement of Fields and what he brings. So I'm with you. I hope he starts from day one. I think he will too. And Jamie, we'll have to see DFS wise when he becomes a real viable candidate to put in there and win some money. So
he's in week 2. It's week 2. Yep. Yeah. So okay. So we've propped up Joe. My God, why is everybody Joe Flacco in this thing? We have propped up Joe Flacco. He's just gonna be spinning around my head tonight. Yeah. I'm just gonna count Joe Flacco's as I go to sleep. All right, so a little bit of a, we got to address the elephant in the room. I mean, COVID is not gone. We saw the challenges that NFL teams faced in 2020. We're all happy they got through a full season. Not all players are vaccinated. I think the latest count is at about 85%. But with players like Cole Beasley and Kirk Cousins who are vocally resisting it, and Lamar Jackson unvaccinated, do you think COVID will impact the 21 season at all? Will it be different from 2020? What's your thoughts on that?
So I want to say that I feel like there's enough players to where I feel like the forfeiture thing won't have to happen to where, none of the players get paid and all that. I feel like there's enough players where they can throw in backups and they may not do so well, but at the end of the day, everybody's getting paid. But that being said, I feel like a lot of players that are on the bubble, a lot of players that are afraid they might get cut, those are the ones that are getting the vaccines. And I feel like, we've seen Kirk Cousins, Lamar Jackson, a lot of players that can really hurt the team if they have to sit out are not getting the vaccine. So that's going to hurt the teams more than it would if your 4th string wide receiver decided not to get vaccinated. You know what I mean? So I feel like, I don't know. It's such a touchy subject because I don't want to step on anybody's toes. But at this point, I feel with all the warnings that the NFL gave everybody, if you're a starting quarterback and you're not vaccinated, you're not in meetings. You're doing them on Zoom. You're not around your teammates. You can't eat with anybody. And that's the stuff that nobody thinks about. You're not allowed to do anything outside of the facility. You're not allowed to hang out with your teammates. Like a lot of that stuff, like chemistry wise, really plays a huge part in what you do on the field. And if you're a starting quarterback and you're not allowed to do that stuff, that really hurts your team. And
that's a really good point.
It's shameful, honestly. At this point, when you, especially like, not to like harp on Lamar Jackson, but you've had it twice. Like, how do you not get vaccinated? I don't understand it at all. And I'm not like, it's his choice, whatever. But like, there's also a consequence for not doing that. Like if you're not in meetings, this is the year when he had it written at the top of his to-do list to work with his wide receivers in training camp. And he missed a full 8 days because he had COVID again, when this was when he was supposed to be doing this. It doesn't make sense to me. At this point, you're hurting your team as well as hurting yourself. And it's just, it's that mentality. It's not a leadership mentality at all. If you're thinking about yourself more than you're thinking about the people around you and the people that you're supposed to be leading and the team that you're supposed to be a leader of, if you're not thinking about them at all and how, you know, what's going to happen if come December and he unfortunately gets it again and, you know, they lose to the Bills and that's it. Like, what's going to happen? You know, as like an organization, as a coach, like if I were John Harbaugh and I couldn't, or if I was Mike Zimmer and I couldn't put my full trust in my starting quarterback to be there every single week, like how am I going to call that guy a leader?
Yeah. No, that's a great point. And Lamar Jackson too is at a point where it's, you know, time to discuss the contract extension as well. And that has to be something that's factored into the decisions on everybody's end. So I think you make a great point there.
Yeah. Yeah. And two, I haven't thought about the high profile nature of some of these players in the role that they have. And it did remind me of Mike Zimmer just basically saying, this dog won't hunt. You know what I mean? Like, we can't do this. I can't run a football team, Kirk. You know, he didn't call him out by name, but I mean, that's his starting quarterback. That's who he's railing against. And so it is going to be really interesting to see how it affects the gameplay and kind of what happens from week to week. So I love your answer. And I would say stay frosty, particularly in fantasy and DFS. Know your backups, know who's going to be in these games. And you know, maybe not the quarterback. If you're losing a quarterback, you're probably, you know, you're effed. But running backs, wide receivers, things like that. Next man up. I hate to say that, you know, everyone cliches, but in this COVID era, you know, you got to be ready to go at any time. So that's the best answer, by the way, Lindsey. I've heard anybody share, and I've been listening.
Yeah.
You know, people share around. So thank you for saying that on our show. I feel very honored that you would.
I don't want to make it like I think this whole vaccine being a political thing is nuts, but I just, you know, I think it's, and especially like these guys, like a lot of kids look up to these guys, and like you know. Especially like in Lamar's case, I feel bad like calling him out again, but you know, he's got a lot of kids that look up to him, not only in Baltimore, but in Florida, which is the hardest hit right now. If he had come to his presser and said, listen, I wasn't sure about it beforehand, but I've had it twice and I've decided to get it now. Do you know how many kids or how many young people would probably go and be like, oh, if he's going to get it, then maybe I will. It's just like, you have to think about these things. And the fact that these, like, he's not and Kirk Cousins isn't, like, these guys aren't thinking about these things. It's just like kind of concerning.
Yeah. Yeah. And particularly in Kurt's case where he said, you know, like, if I get it, I get it. You know what I mean? He just, that's not how we do it. And I don't want to get political at all on any show, but I would encourage everybody to get vaccinated for the good of the order. I mean, listen, I hate shots. I almost pass out when I get shots. I don't know what's in it. Listen, I'll do anything to make it so that my daughter cannot get impacted by this. So that the weak people in society who are struggling with autoimmune issues, I don't want anyone to get sick. And so if it means me having a sore arm for a month, and honestly, the side effect was I couldn't lift with this arm for a month until I got the second jab, and then I could magically lift. I don't care. I don't care if I never could lift with this arm again, and this arm was ruined, but thousands of people lived. I'll take a bum arm. I don't even care. And so I'm with Lindsey. You know,
amen. I'm with you too.
Yeah, no political stuff. Just get vaccinated. Please be safe. We want you to be here. And that goes to everybody. Don't care what party you're part of. Don't care any of that. Don't care where you call home. We just want you to get home. So, all right, that's an unplanned little vaccine. I'm looking to get the other one. I have the Moderna. I'm just going to like sneak into the Pfizer line. Like, hey,
yeah.
other arm with the, so, okay. All right, that was
We're one of those like fake noses and glasses with a mustache. Like, wait a minute.
That guy, that rotund gentleman over there in the Fantasy Points t-shirt, by the way. Shout out Fantasy Points. Love those guys over there. They gave me this free shirt, and I'm never not going to pump that. So let's get to brighter skies, Jamie. At the end of the season, we're hoping that there's a Super Bowl, right? I mean, we want to see a Super Bowl. That's the goal at the end of the season.
We do. So, I mean, yeah, the Super Bowl. Lindsey, which two teams do you have fighting it out? Simple question. Not simple question, but, simpler question than the COVID. Super Bowl glory, bonus points for picking the winner. Who do you got?
I'm going to go the Niners and the Bills. I feel like I want to pick the Chiefs, but I feel like if any AFC team can beat the Chiefs, I feel like it's the Bills. So
Bills and Niners. I love that. Not Chiefs and Niners, not a rematch. So, and then who wins? Who's going to win the Super Bowl?
I really want to say the Niners, but I'm going to say the Bills.
Ooh, okay. So you win again, and I'm guessing you're a Niners fan. You have a Niners jersey on.
I mean, Josh Rosen's on the team, so duh.
Oh.
I watched a tweet today that said that Josh Rosen runs away from Yugoslavia. Did you see that tweet today? Where they showed Josh Rosen in college running away from. He got a touchdown. It was like a 90-yard touchdown where they almost sacked him on like the 5-yard line, and he got away from the whole team and ran for a touchdown. And so the tweet was, Josh Rosen against Yugoslavia. And so I thought that was funny.
You have to send me that.
I hadn't heard Josh Rosen. I'll find it on Twitter. I love Twitter, by the way. I mean, that's where I met Lindsey. It's where I met Jamie. Twitter's just so much fun if you can do it right, and you can find the funny in Twitter and the kind of back and forth and all that kind of stuff. It's a fun place. So
best and worst thing in the world on an almost daily basis.
Right. It's kind of like your children. You know what I mean? Like you're just like, I love you, I hate you. I don't say that. I'm not at all. Okay, that was great. We're going to do a little quick burning questions. We're about to be done. We're wrapping up. You've been amazing. But we have quick burning questions. You don't need to give a rationale for it. You can give like a one, sentence something, but we're trusting you with this. I want to know where do you fall on Kyle Pitts? We ask everybody this. We want to know, are you a Pitzer? Do you believe he's a top 5 tight end, or are you down maybe in the back half? Maybe even not in the top 10. Where do you have him ranked?
I like Kyle Pitts. I don't like Matt Ryan. So that's where I kind of stand with him. I feel like he'll be better once he has another quarterback.
Ooh, maybe Joe Flacco. I mean, no, I'm just that wishful thinking.
Yeah, show him your stuff, Joe. Take a seat, Matt.
Yeah.
So, and then of course the other burning question that I wish there would be some kind of resolution to. I mean, not just for again, I'm going to go off on some political tangent, but I don't know. From a football standpoint, what are you doing with Deshaun Watson this year? And what do you think happens too? Do you think he's going to play? What's that?
I've had so many thoughts on this.
Yeah. Who hasn't?
A lot of it I just don't want to touch, but no pun intended.
Yeah.
But that was uncalled for. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. You're good.
I feel like I feel like he's not going to play for the Texans this year. I just feel like it's kind of over and done with. The bigger question is if he's going to play in the NFL ever again. And unfortunately, I think he will, just because we've seen it so many times. If you are good enough at football, who cares what you do off the field?
Yeah.
So, I mean, Big Ben's going to be in the Hall of Fame in 6 years. So, I mean, again, I feel like if the Big Ben thing happened this year or like last year, I feel like it would be more of a heated thing. But unfortunately, 10 years ago, things were able to slide. But I don't know. I feel like Deshaun Watson will not play for the Texans this year. I feel like he's going to be probably on like a 1-year suspension, I would guess. And then probably somebody will trade for him. Like, let's be honest. next year. So.
No, I like it. Jamie, what do you think, by the way? We've never shared what we think is going to happen to him. What do you think is going to happen to Deshaun?
Well, yeah, I think he's going to wind up playing this year. I think that it's going to drag out long enough that it's going to last into this year, at least, maybe for the whole year, maybe until week 10, 11, 12, however long this takes to get resolved. I do think he's going to play this year. I'm staying away from him as a fantasy player. I've taken him in one best ball, and I backed up the pick with a couple of other quarterbacks. I kind of hated myself as a person for doing that, because if it winds up all this stuff is true, then he's a monster. But
right.
Yeah, like Lindsey said, it's so, the NFL is weird with this stuff. I mean, the punishment and the argument people say that, well, the NFL is not the police force, and it's true, they're not. But there are a lot of questions that I have about the level of punishment for some compared to the level of punishment for others. And you brought up Big Ben. I mean, we're not even talking about that anymore for some reason. And like you said, he's going to be a Hall of Fame quarterback. He's going to have a shrine in Canton one day soon. And whatever he did 10 years ago is going to be erased from memory. So yeah, I think at least it's going to be dragged out enough that he's going to get the majority of this season in. What about you?
I'm hopeful that he gets suspended. He gets on the commissioner's non-exempt list, or whatever the thing is, and they actually get to the bottom of it. I know the NFL is investigating it right now. I don't know what those investigators have found compared to the NFL. I mean, or compared to the police, and then the other private investigators that the prosecution, or not prosecution, the plaintiffs have, I guess. But I would love to see him not play all year, but I think he will play for a little while, at least until something happens, and then maybe he gets on that list. I'm not drafting him in any league that I have. I think I have him on like a best ball team or two, but yeah, I'm out on Deshaun Watson. We've talked about him on the Fantasy Millionaires. If what he said is true, or what these women have said is true, he should be in jail, with Bill Cosby, who should be in jail as well, by the way. Talking about people who should be in jail right now.
Yeah, and I agree with you. Like, I mean, you say you hope that's what they did. Like, there seems to be, it seems like such an easy solution, and the people that say that, well, he's not guilty, we haven't been proven guilty yet, so how can you suspend him? It's not a suspension. Like, these are egregious accusations against him. And like Trevor Bauer in baseball, I don't know how much you two follow baseball, but he's on paid leave while they examine this rape claim against him, and which is what it should be happening. And right. Baseball has handled nothing right this past year, but they are handling this right. And I feel like that is the only right answer to do with Watson. You can't play him until something is at least resolved.
Yeah. I mean, out of respect for all those women, you just have to
hear
their voices. And I understand when people are fighting, it's one person versus another person. There's a bad situation. You don't know all the deals. That's fine. There's just a stack of cards here that you can read. You can look at so many different cards just to go, okay, wait. Let's just figure something out here. We need to stop and take a second. So hopefully that happens. So, all right. Well, on a fun note, Lindsey, this was amazing. You're awesome.
You're a fantastic guest. Thank you.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Paul Charchin, you're not my favorite guest anymore. I adjust my ranks like Denny Carter tells me to do. I adjusted them. Lindsey, you're tops in my book. Thank you so much for coming on. Where can people find you across all the social media platforms?
You can follow me on Lindsey Ok. Everything across the board is the same. It's a Lindsey with an EY OK.
Yeah, and we got her on Twitter. She's on Instagram, and then you can go to Patreon and please buy her
beers.
Buy her beers. This woman needs beers as a home brewer. I love the beers. I love that. So excited that you came on, Lindsey. Thank you very much. Please check out. We didn't plump this earlier, but please check out Underdog promo code Nimble. I love playing best ball. It's one of my favorite things to do every day. My wife hates it. Please continue that fight with my wife, with me, so I can continue to play best ball. And also check out Run the Sims. Check out Fan Team Advice. Go get yourself some Bose Hotbox brand over at BigTimeFlavor.co. I nailed it that time, Bo. Didn't mess it up. I always mess it up. But next week, we're not sure what's coming on next week. Do we have a guest next week, Jamie?
We don't. We got one 2 weeks out, but no one's on next week yet.
We're working on next week. Might be our mailbag episode before
Yep.
we get into the season. We'll talk about it. But in 2 weeks, we got Brian Jester, Millie Maker winner, Occupy Fantasy creator. He's got a great tool that he's going to kind of share. It helps you with your DFS lineups, projections, all the good things that you want as a content creator to be able to share is the stuff that's going to help win people money. You know, like Lindsey, what you said is really important for me. I just don't want to tell you like, okay, Justin Fields is going to play on Sunday. I want to tell you why you should get him, how much you should spend on him, what his value is going to be, what your returns, all those things that actually win people money. Those are available. RunTheSims.com, fan team advice. These are the places. Occupy Fantasy. They're smart people who want to win you money. Please check all of them out. And check Lindsey out. Follow her right now. Lindsey, hope you get a bump. And if not, I'm going to tomorrow just tweet this out a bunch and tell people to follow you. And let's get you up to like 1 million followers by the next time you come on the show. But thank you so much. I appreciate it. Jamie, anything else before we jump out? Did I miss anything?
I'm just going to shamelessly plug myself for a second. The FF Expo is this weekend in Canton. I'm going to be presenting from 1 to 1:30 on using advanced stats to win in DFS, both cash and GPP levels. So please come and see me so I'm not talking to an empty room. I live in mortal fear that this is going to happen.
As a teacher, that's my favorite thing is when they're gone. So, it's both, but no, please do. And we have a show this Friday, Chalk Block. It's normally at 11 p.m. We have a 6 p.m. special time. The man, the myth, the legend himself, Field Yates, is coming on the show. Really excited about that. He was on our show here.
Great guest.
Great guest. He loves beers too, Lindsey. I don't know if you've ever gotten to meet Field. I've not met him in person, but drinks beers, loves dogs. This guy, he's super cool. So
Nantucket,
Right, he's my wife said he's really good looking. I told her, I told her who's coming on. He goes, "Is he that dark, tall, and handsome guy?" I said, "Oh yeah, he is." Oh damn it, yeah, it's him.
She meant me, Scott.
She meant Jimmy Garoppolo.
On an out note, she meant Joe Flacco.
Yeah.
All right, we'll see you guys next time. Thank you for coming on the show, Lindsey, and we're out.